We continue with learning the different features that help us understand how to analyze data in ACL version 9. Again, under Analyze, we will perform Benford Analysis. Benford Analysis looks at all the first digit of all amount due in the sales invoice file and give us some kind of indication if there was anybody who transposed numbers while they were typing, for example, or maybe data manipulation as well. So we do select the perform Benford analysis, and then we check the box, we accept all defaults, and then we check the box include upper and lower bounds. When we click on that, the analysis is done on the amount due field, and any amount due that start with a 1, for example from the far left, it counts them. So in this case it says the actual count is 206 records that have an amount start with 1. This can be $10, can be 100, 1,000, 10,000, and so on. Benford analysis suggests that based on the data we have, we should expect 210 records start with a 1. We have 206. Is that acceptable or not acceptable? To know that, we look at the lower and upper limits or bounds, and if our actual is in between the lower and the higher, then it is acceptable. So any record start with a 1, 206, it is between 186 and 234. If we look at any amount start with a 2, we have 68. Expected is 123. So here the lower limit should be 103 and the higher 143. So this indicates that we may have a problem with accounts starting with a 2. Another one we can look at will be amounts start with a 6. So here we have 82 actual count. We should have around 47 or somewhere between 34 and 60. Clearly this is much higher than that. Another one can be amounts start with an 8. It's not too bad, but it is not within the limits. Again, 48 is higher than the upper bound. So if we click on one of those, we get all the transactions that are limited or does not match the Benford analysis, and there's 82 of them. So we can go and look for those and examine the paper documentation to see if these amounts were transposed wrongly. Now another one we can do in this data is I clicked the X here to eliminate the previous test. So we have all the data, we have all 700 records here. Now analyze again, examine sequence. Now because we are issuing invoice, the invoice number should be in sequence. We shouldn't have anything out of sequence. But when we look at that, we find nothing. So that looks good. That means that all our sales invoices are in sequence. Another test can be look for gaps. Again, we shouldn't have any gaps. And it will be again on the invoice number. They all should be in sequence, shouldn't have any gaps. So once the analysis runs, we find that we have some gaps. So for example, we have a gap after 200,002, 284 until 203.65. We have 780 missing numbers. Before that we have 2,283, 4,000 down here, 1,090. So this tells me that we are missing quite few invoices and there is no real explanation for them. So we need to go and find out why we have these invoices missing. We cannot delete, in most systems, we cannot delete transactions. So that should tell us that any invoice that needed to be voided should have been still in sequence but reversed transaction. So there is something wrong with the controls over generation of new automatic numbers, a sequential number in invoices. Another test will be look for duplicates. Do we have any duplicates of invoice number? And here the output defaults to a file, but we can make it default to go to the screen, and that will be quicker and easier. There is no duplicates in the sales invoice, so that's good news. However, we still have the problem of missing invoice numbers.